Today we're going to go over your Lewis and Clark pictures activity from the other day. I want to make sure that everybody is all square on this, that you understand what's going on with Lewis and Clark and their expedition, and then we will get on to today's lesson as well. So, let's take a peek here at your Lewis and Clark pictures activity and go over it. Question number 1. Let me go ahead and pull up actually the pictures so we can look at the pictures while we're doing this. I think that might be kind of helpful. So picture number 1, question number 1 says, why do you suppose St. Louis's nickname is the gateway to the west? Because here you see the 630-foot monument gateway arch in St. Louis. The reason that St. Louis gets the nickname Gateway to the West is this is where Lewis and Clark start their journey. So this is the giant gateway arch in downtown St. Louis. You can actually go up in this thing. If you're ever in St. Louis, I'd recommend doing it. I've went myself. There's kind of this egg-shaped elevator that they take you up in, and you get to go all the way up here to the observatory area, and pretty neat. But it's called the Gateway City or the Gateway to the West City because that's where Lewis and Clark started their trip. Picture number 2. This is a bronze statue of our third president, Thomas Jefferson. The statue is located in the National Museum of Westward Expansion in St. Louis. It's actually located right underneath the arch. So if you were to go down directly underneath here, that is where you would find this and the museum. Think back to the skit that you read this unit. Why would there be a statue of Jefferson in this museum? Well, quite simply, he's the one who went on the journey with Lewis and Clark. So he sent Lewis and Clark on their journey. And so for question number 2, you'll want to write that President Jefferson sends Lewis and Clark out west. Picture number 3. This is a replica of peace medals that Lewis and Clark gave to Native Americans along their journey. The medals were meant to symbolize peace between the United States and the Indian nations, but they were also viewed by the United States as a form of payment for these new lands. So basically as a way to say, hey, we want to be friends with you, and P.S., these are also pieces of money, basically, and we're giving this to you in exchange for all the land that you currently occupy. For question number 3, do you think these peace medals were intended as a kind gesture, a gift of sorts to the Indians, or do you think it was more of a sneaky move? You are entitled to your own opinion here. My personal opinion, it was a very sneaky move by the Americans as a way of paying the natives for their land without actually really letting them know that, and kind of a sneaky, deceitful way of doing so. Picture number 4. Here is an animal that Lewis and Clark saw many times on their journey out west on the American prairie. The type of animal that you see here is an American bison, otherwise known as a buffalo. For number 5, what could this animal be used for? All sorts of different things. You could eat them. You could use the hide for clothing. You could use things for tools, like the horns here, for instance. Tons of different uses for the American bison. Picture number 5. This is a map of the Louisiana Purchase. The present-day states for number 6 that make up this purchase, and you can see that massive plot of land there. Louisiana, Arkansas, Nebraska, Montana, Idaho, Kansas, Missouri, and Wyoming. There are many, many states that it makes up, or at least touches a part of as well. Number 7, would you pay $15 million for this land? That's up to you. Me personally, of course. I mean, look at the amount of space there. We literally doubled the nation's size from what it used to be with this purchase. And for $15 million, the United States is way made up for the money with that particular purchase. So yes, I definitely would. Picture number 6. These were the directions that Thomas Jefferson gave to Meriwether Lewis. For number 8, please put these directions into your own 8th grade words that you'd understand. So hopefully you did that. I kind of simplified it by saying, follow the Missouri River to find a water route to the Pacific Ocean, because that's really what the job of Lewis and Clark was. It's to try to find a way out to the Pacific as quickly as possible, and doing that with a water route was going to be the best mode of doing so. For number 9, why would Jefferson want this done? What we learned about earlier this unit, he just purchased Louisiana Territory. He wanted to go see what was out there. He wanted to know what was on all this land that he spent $15 million for. And so he sends Lewis and Clark to figure that out. Picture number 7. A total of 56 people became part of Lewis and Clark's journey along with Lewis's dog. Of all these participants, only one person died, which was Charles Floyd. For question 10, after reading Clark's words about Sergeant Floyd's death, what did he think about him? Well, he held him in very high regard, respected him, and he was definitely sad to see Charles Floyd pass away. Number 11, kind of your own opinion here. Are you surprised that more people didn't die on this trip? Why or why not? Personally, my answer, I'm a little bit surprised to have that many people go out into a wilderness, and it's not like you can stop at a hotel along the way. You can't have the police help you, or have there's no ambulances out there in case you get hurt or injured or sick. I'm quite surprised that they actually only had one casualty on this entire trip. For picture number 8, this particular entry in the journal here, as you can tell this was William Clark's journal, was written more than a year after Lewis and Clark began their journey. For question 12, did Lewis and Clark complete Jefferson's objective by finding the Pacific? Yes, they did. For 13, why do you think it took them more than a year? Lots of different reasons. Weather, mountains, they didn't know where they were going, obstacles along the way, having to talk with Native Americans and see how that would go for them. I mean, there were a lot of different factors that led them to take a long time on this trip. For question 14, how long do you think a trip from St. Louis to the Pacific would take in today's world? By a plane, honestly, guys, it would only take a few hours. It would be a very short trip in an airplane. In a car, I should say, only 2 days or so. You can get there a lot quicker. Poor Lewis and Clark, can you imagine if we were to tell them that today? It takes them a year and a half with this trip, and we're like, yeah, we can do that in a couple hours with a plane. It'd take us a couple days worth of driving. That'd probably really irritate them, but they personally, led the way, led the charge out there, so to speak. Question 15, just having a little fun with you. The handsome dude in the reflection, that's me. Before my kids were born, my wife and I went to St. Louis. We visited the Gateway Arch. Like I told you, we went up into it. And we also visited the Museum of Westward Expansion, which is where you see all these photos and where they're from. So kind of a neat trip. If you ever have the chance to go out to St. Louis, I would totally recommend going there. Definitely a pretty cool place to go. One other thing for you, as you're taking a look at your Google Classroom, you are going to be, for the second part of what you're doing today, you're going to be watching this video on their expedition. This video was made by National Geographic. I am not going to talk through this video. I've already done that enough, it seems like, recently, and just yakking with you guys about everything. So I'm going to let you watch the video on your own. But a couple of things I want to make sure you're aware of before you watch the video. I'm strongly suggesting, I'm not going to require you to, and you certainly don't have to turn this in to me. By the way, you don't need to turn in your answers to me as well. That's just stuff that I want you to hang on to. It's good information to have for your tests and for Lewis and Clark information. With the video, again, I'm encouraging you to take notes on a Google Doc. I won't require it. Keep in mind, though, if you choose to take notes, you are going to have an assignment the next couple of days about Lewis and Clark's expedition. And so if you have Google Doc notes that you've created based on this movie, it's going to be a lot easier for you to do the assignment. What do you need to take notes on? Just things that happened to them during the trip. Maybe some big highlights, some of the big moments that they have. Like what sorts of trouble do they get into, or what sorts of positive experiences do they have? Just short little stories. You don't have to write a ton of information down. Just kind of the general consensus of, hey, here's kind of what happened with Lewis and Clark on their journey. This video, I think that you'll like it. It's about 42 minutes long. Actually, when you look at the credits and stuff, it's really only about 40 minutes or so. So a pretty good movie. I think that you'll enjoy it. If you have questions about it, make sure you're messaging me, and I'm happy to answer anything that you have. Have a great rest of your day. See you guys.